Hi all, and welcome to this video on how to create and style a HTML table. Now, to get started, we're going to go up to the top left here. We're going to create an index file and a styles.css as always, and within the index we're going to do the exclamation tab, and let's zoom in a bit so you can see table demo. And hopefully you've seen my previous videos and you know about live server, so we can right click on index, open with live server, and there it is. But let's put something in here, save. There we go. Alright then, so obviously we don't want hello. Let's make a bit of room. We're going to put this all in a container. You don't really need to, but because I'm going to create a table and a header outside the table, I'm going to put both inside a container. So if I do a class of container, everything's going to go inside there. So let's start with a H2. Let's again put table demo and save. So we've got that there. No, let's do the markup. I was going to go off and get the font, but let's in fact what we do need to do before we do anything else is link the style sheet. So link tab, and you've got this to fill in. Just fill the href in with the name of your file because it's in the same directory. There's no need to do anything else there. So under the H2 we're going to create a table with the table tag, make some space, and the first thing we want to do is the table row for the headers. So table row like any other row, but within that you want to do table header. Actually I'm going to give this row a class of header row, and I'm going to actually copy, because I can't remember the shortcut key for this, I'm going to copy 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5, yeah, that'll do. I think that's correct. So let's do heroes, hero name, first name, last name, attributes, and actions. And in the actions we're going to put class of actions header, because it's going to be slightly different to the rest of them. The actions column is going to contain buttons. That's why we call it actions. Save that. So we now have a header. Now you might be able to see some gaps between the columns. That is automatically put in by the HTML, the table tag for HTML. We're going to table collapse that soon, so that will disappear when we can put our own spacing in. So let's move on to the body. So let's do table row again, but this time instead of th for table header we're going to do td for table data. I'm going to put Batman. 2 3 4 5, is that right? I think so. Bruce is his first name, Wayne is his second. Attributes, well, he's rich, he's got all the gadgets, and he's fairly smart. And in here I'm going to give this a class of actions, and I don't want just a single thing in there, I want a couple of buttons like so. And then the first one is going to be edit, and this one is going to be delete. So there you go. But we want to style them up, so we're going to style them up individually. So let's give them each class of edit, btn, and delete btn. Okay. And I'm going to put in a few more here. You don't want to sit there watching me type a load of these out, so I'm going to copy a load from off screen that I've already done. Like so. And there we go. So we've got Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Flash, Green Lantern and Hulk. With their real names, what their aliases, and what attributes they have. So basically done with the HTML. So let's just have a little recap. Got a container, it contains this and the table, and that's about it. So excuse me, save that. Let's go over to the styles. As I mentioned before, I want to get a font, so Google fonts, and I want to use Poppins. If you don't know how I got there, go to fonts, search Poppins. You can search whatever you want or just browse, click on the one you want, add or remove the version of the font you want from the family. I'm going to be using regular 400 for most of it. Click on this button here, then we can go down to where it's got the style tags and just copy this, paste, and I'm going to copy this rule, copy, and put it into, I'm going to use the asterisk to select everything and put it in there. So if we go back to here, highlighting it here and save, you'll see that all the fonts have changed. Good, and while we're here we may as well, padding 0, remove all the padding, remove all the margin, box sizing border box, so the paddings we do apply don't affect the size of the container it's in, and may as well give a colour to the font. I'm going to use an RGBA, not an FGBA but an RGBA, and I'm going to put 0.7. There you go. I'm also going to say, no, let's leave that, that's fine. So they're general settings. Let's go with the container now. If you remember, the heading and the table are within this container, so we want to display flex, direction, column, want them on top of each other, and a gap between them of say 30 pixels or whatever you want. Align the items within container to the center and justify to the center as well, because we want them in the middle of the screen for this demo, just to make it clear what we're doing. We want the height of the container to be, we could have done this on the body, but well, it's best practice not to. So we're going to give it a height of 100 viewport height and a width of 100 viewport width. Going to give it a background color of EEE. So there we go. So as you can see, the gap 30 pixels is there. If we change this to 100, adjust the gap, puts everything in the middle again, but that's a bit too much. So let's put it back to that. Right, speaking of the header, container H2, let's just style it up a bit. Use a font weight of 300, because if you see up here, when I went, let's close this bit down, when I selected what I wanted from this font, the 300 is light 300. There you go. So, and you can see up here that's been included, so we can use it here. So if we go back, take note of the font weight here, and if we save, it's now a skinnier font, which is what I wanted. I do want to add a text underline, which is novel, so I'm usually removing them. Underline. There we go. I think that will do it for the header. So I guess we can just move straight onto the table now. So as I was saying, border collapse. Oops. That collapse. Save. You probably won't have caught that, but there's a bit of spacing removed from between each cell, which is basically what that does. You want to align all the text. Hello, what's... There we go. Text align left. There we go, already looking a bit better. I want to put a box shadow around the table so we can see it. I'm going to do X0, Y0, 30 pixel blur, so it's the whole way round the table. That's why I'm doing the 0 and 0. And RGBA, and I'm going to say 0, 0, 0, 0.4. And there you go, you can actually see the table now. Now, let's give a border radius of, let's say, 10 pixels, and make sure nothing overflows off of that. There we go. So if we applied some, because these, how do I explain? Different colour, then if we hadn't used overflow, then the corner of that element would have overflown the table and you would have seen a sharp corner there. So we just want to make sure that everything stays within that table border. Right, so case in point, actually, if we do the header row, we give it a background colour of steel blue. Now we remove this. Now you can see that although the table has borders radiused on each corner, because we've given this a background colour, it's overflown the table. So by doing this, we stop that from happening. Probably a long-winded explanation for something very minor, I suppose, but it can catch you out, actually. So anyway, let's do the table header. Table, TRTH. So if you remember, these are these headers here. So what do we want to do with them? Give it a bit of space for a start, I suppose. 10 pixels top and bottom, 25 left and right. Like that. Much better. Colour of white. There we go. Okay. Now I want to alternate the rows here, so I want every other row to be a different colour from the other rows. I'll show you what I mean, like a zebra effect. I'm sure you've seen it before. You've probably seen it as a thumbnail on this video, but I don't want to include the header row, so I'm going to use not, which is brilliant, and I'm going to use nth child odd. So every odd numbered row that's not called has a class of header row will be affected by what's in here. And I'm going to give background colour of, I'm going to copy this one. Oh no, it's okay. There you go, like that. Okay, so I need to do the same thing again, because I want a hover effect over them all. But it doesn't want to be every other row, it wants to be all of them. So hover. So if you hover over a TR that doesn't have a class of header row, do this. Background colour, this is the one I'm going to copy over from my notes. Save. And there you go. So it doesn't affect this one, just all of the others. Okay. Believe it or not, this is aligned to the left, but we want it aligned to the centre. I don't know whether to come back to that or not. No, let's do that now. Don't want to forget, do we? So a table header with a class of actions header. Do this. We want to say text align center. Keep an eye on it. Doesn't move, does it? Strange. Right then. For the table data, table trtd. Also want to give that some padding. So padding. 12 pixels top and bottom, 25 left and right. There we go. Okay, you can see it a bit better now actually. See, these headers are aligned to the left. If we remove this, we'll see this actions is aligned to the left as well. We put that in because I want it aligned to the centre. Simple as. But anyway, table looking much better. I suppose we can move on to the buttons now actually. So let's do that. Table trtd. What do we call this? Actions. So the actions is the container within this, well, it's this table data that contains the buttons. So td with actions as the class set to it. So if you're wondering why there's no space here, it's because it has to have both of these properties to follow this rule. So display flex direction row because the buttons want to be next to each other as they are, so we'll keep it like that. But I think if you set display flex, it automatically puts it as a column, so I always put it in whether it's column or row anyway, just to keep just to make sure. So there we go, put a gap of 10 pixels between each of those. So I guess we can target both buttons at the same time for some of the styling. Like so. Let's give them both some padding of 7 pixels top and bottom, 30 pixels left and right, like that. And we don't want them to have a border, but we do want to give a radius to that border, so border radius 3 pixels, and let's give the text some colour of white. Okay, can't really see them there, can we? Also cursor, pointer, so when we hover over them you get a little hand or whatever your system does. So then I think the final bit really is to target them individually. Table TRTD, actions, edit button, and all we need to do here really is change the background colour, and I've used an RGB which is 218.160.54. There we go. And on hover, let me just copy this. Slightly different. It's going to be 173.130.50. So hover over the button. Slight subtle change, that's what we want. So go to here, so we want delete button this time, and the background colour will be 216.64.64. Would help if I spelled that correctly. There we go. And again, we'll copy this, put a hover on the end, change this value, 151.51.51, save. So when we hover over it, and there we go. And that is how you style up a table. Hope you've learnt something, enjoyed it. This video is just coming up to 24 minutes, so it wasn't too bad. If you could leave a like and consider subscribing, then there's more videos to come. I've got tons of things I'm going to be doing, so if you want to follow them, please do subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.